Hi there. How are you tonight? I'm David, and today I'd like you to be my fellow traveler on our shared journey to faraway lands and times. I am so glad you are joining me on another soothing pod adventure. I have a very, very special trip for you today. We are not going to visit just one or two special places. I am going to take you to a whole lot of fascinating places around the world, in different continents and different countries. I can't wait to take you there. These 7 places that we are now going to visit are so special that they were called the 7 Wonders of the World. Would you like to know where and what they are? Well, there are 7 wonders of the ancient world, and most of them do not exist anymore. And so, recently, many people in the world decided to make a new list, or the new 7 wonders of the world. And these are places that you really can visit with your mum or your dad or a grown-up. Are you ready to go on an adventure? First, let's make sure we are relaxed so that we don't miss a thing. We have to be relaxed and alert at the same time. Wow, that sounds a bit crazy, but it is very possible. Do you know how we do that? By paying attention to our breathing and our body. We pause and get really still under our blanket. Do you have a favorite plush toy with you as you sleep? That's great, because maybe they want to listen to the story too. Let's start by getting relaxed. Inhaling and exhaling. We take a big, deep breath. Feel the air going inside our body. And our tummy getting bigger. And then we feel the air as it goes out when we breathe out. Remember now to be a bit mindful when you breathe. That means we don't just feel it, we also think about it. And we thank our bodies for being so kind to us, allowing us to breathe without even worrying how to every day. Now, let's travel around the world to visit all the new 7 wonders. And then let's journey back in time to remember what the old 7 wonders of the ancient world were. When the new list of the 7 wonders were made, people realized that there were so many fascinating places on Earth that it would be hard to choose just one. So, do you know what everyone did? The winners were voted by using the internet and making phone calls. Kind of like they do on that show, American Idol. The way everyone gets to have their say on who they think the winner should be. And who do you suppose the winners for the new 7 wonders of the world were? I will tell you now. Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The Colosseum in Rome. India's Taj Mahal. The Great Wall of China. Jordan's ancient city of Petra. The Inca ruins of Machu Picchu in Peru. And the ancient Maya city of Chichen Itza in Mexico. Wouldn't you like to travel to all those wonderful, wondrous, and full of wonder places? Tonight, I am going to take you there. At least in our great big imagination. Are you ready? Let's go. Number 1. Christ the Redeemer. This monument statue is huge. And I am sure you have seen pictures of it before. It measures 105 feet tall. That is 38 meters tall. Really super high. The Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, was one of the new 7 wonders of the world. And it leads this new list of human-made marvels. You will find it if you make the long journey to climb up the Corcovado mountain in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, a country found on the continent of South America. There are so many interesting things about the Christ the Redeemer statue. It was built using reinforced concrete, and its outer shell is made up of a staggering 6 million soapstone tiles. Yep, that's a whole lot of tiles. It is like one great big gigantic art installation. Some people say that the workers who made these tiles and put the statue together sometimes wrote notes on the back of the statue. So, if you go there, you might just find some hidden messages. The statue is supposed to be Jesus Christ holding his arms out over the world. It is nice to think about it. Jesus was a real character who lived and always taught people to be kind and loving to each other. So when he is holding his arms out over the world, it is like he is telling us to remember to be kind, to remember to take care of our planet, but most of all, to take care of the people whom we love. Here is something that not a lot of people know. The Christ the Redeemer statue was not actually designed in Brazil. It was actually a French sculptor named Paul Landowski who first constructed the statue out of clay pieces. He made it in France, and it was then shipped to Brazil to be remade out of the soapstone tiles. It took 9 years to build the entire statue. Workers began construction in 1922 and then finally finished it in 1931. So that was a great big statue which you can still see standing if you travel to Brazil today. I hope one day you can see it with your own eyes. Now, we're going to move on to the continent of Asia, where we find the next wonder of the world. Number 2, the Great Wall of China. This world wonder is found along China's northern border. It was first constructed to protect the people of China from outside invaders. Historians say that it was built between the 5th century BC and the 16th century. It took so many years to build the Great Wall of China. And until this day, it is the world's longest human-made structure. If you measured it, you would find that it stretches for 21,196.18 kilometers. That is 13,170.70 miles. If you measured how high the wall is, well, the average height is 6 to 7 meters, or 20 to 23 feet. And the highest wall is 14 meters. That's 46 feet. The Great Wall is really old, about 2,700 years old. It is such a famous wall and such a great piece of architecture that every year 50 million visitors come to see it. Wouldn't you like to take a walk along that Great Wall someday? Well, it would take a very long time to walk the entire length, I'm sure. Have you ever been to China? It is a big country, and each part of the country is different. There are beautiful mountains, long flowing rivers, fascinating art and history everywhere. In China, there are also islands in the south and beautiful beaches you can swim in there. Number 3. The Colosseum, Rome, Italy. What do do you know about Italy? Have you ever traveled there before? Maybe you know it as the place where you can eat really yummy pizza and pasta. That is true. But Italy is also a place where you can see a lot of interesting art, historical buildings, and beautiful nature. There are so many wonderful places in Europe, but for some reason, only this one is listed in the top 7 wonders. It is the Colosseum in Rome. This massive structure is the largest amphitheater. That means round theater in the world. There are many amphitheaters in Italy and other countries, but this one is the largest. The Colosseum was built in AD 70 under Emperor Vespasian. It was a big arena for sports. The sports in those days could sometimes get pretty serious and violent, like when the gladiators fought each other, or even with wild animals. The Colosseum is a really big, open, round-shaped stadium, and it could fit up to 50,000 people watching the games. You must love watching sports sometimes, right? Well, so did the Roman people. It has an oval shape, and although some of the structure has crumbled, it reached quite high, about 50 meters, or as tall as a building with 12 stories. In Italy, summertime can be really blistering hot. So, to protect people and give them some shade, there was even an awning to pull over. This is called a velarium, and it did a nice job of keeping people cool while they watched the games. Because the Colosseum is quite old, much of it has been destroyed. But still, every year, thousands of travelers line up to go inside. It is a very unique place to see, and that is why it was named as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Number 4, Petra, Jordan. Have you ever been to an Arabian desert before? Would you like to visit one of the 7 wonders there? Petra was actually the capital of the Nabatean kingdom of King Aretas IV. Petra is an incredibly beautiful place, where you will see a lot of stone structures and rocks that look a bit pink or rose-colored. This is a gigantic ancient city that once had a lot of life going on. There were tunnels, secret water passages, an amphitheater where thousands of people could meet and be entertained. But over time, the great desert site was forgotten about. Only when the Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt discovered it in 1812 did it become world famous. There is even a great big 138-foot tall, 42 meters tall temple. On it are carved classical pictures, scenes, and engravings. In the olden days, people used to tell stories by carving the scenes and pictures onto walls of caves. And some of those stories we can still find today. Maybe one day you will be able to visit the site in Jordan in real life. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Number 5. Machu Picchu, Peru. Now we are going to travel to a very fascinating place in Peru, in Latin America. It is a wonder of the world called Machu Picchu. Machu Picchu is very famous. You might have seen pictures of it before, or even watched documentaries or movies about it. It is now just ruins, but it was once a great, powerful city. The city was home to the Inca people, who also lived a long time ago. They built great cities and were a great civilization living in the Andes region. Archaeologists have found a lot of relics and proof of these people. Something interesting about the Inca people. They had no written language. The way they kept their history alive was by telling stories. That's why stories were so important. Parents would tell stories to their children. And when those children grew up, they told the same stories to their children. And on, and on, and on. You probably know some stories from your family that your grandpa told your daddy or mummy, and then they told you, right? Can you think of any stories that only the people in your family know? The ancient Inca were also very good builders. They knew how to make important structures like aqueducts, fortresses, tunnels, suspension bridges, and they even built 2,250 miles of roads. You could say they were very intelligent people. Nowadays, we don't have much left of the Inca culture, except what has been found in Machu Picchu. Number 6. The Taj Mahal, India. Now we travel to another country, this time in the continent of Asia. It is shaped like an elephant ear. It's very vast and full of rich color, culture, and curious traditions. The sun shines very warmly in this country, but there are also tall mountains, great rivers, and lots of nature. Do you know where we are? We are now in India. The Taj Mahal is spectacular. It is a beautiful building found in Agra, India. And do you know why it was built? It is a very interesting story. The Emperor Shah Jahan loved his wife Mumtaz Mahal so much that when she died, he wanted to create something that would make people remember her forever. It would be her last house, and where her body would be buried when she died. It took 15 years to construct, but the Taj Mahal was finally completed. The name Taj Mahal means crown of palaces. It is made of white marble, and this makes it dazzle and sparkle in the sun. You can recognize the Taj Mahal by its great white dome, which looks a bit like a giant onion. This big dome is 35 meters high. That is over 100 feet, and overlooks 4 other smaller domes. You might imagine the big dome as a great queen looking over her beloved country. The Taj Mahal is considered a great work of art, one of the greatest in India, and one of the most admired in the whole world. Also, because it was born from a love story, many people want to come and see the Taj Mahal with their eyes. And of course, with somebody that they really love. Each year, not just hundreds, not just thousands, not just hundreds of thousands, but more than 1 million people go to have a closer look at the Taj Mahal. Number 7. Chichen Itza. Remember, we talked about the Inca people before. Well, here is another wonder of the world not too far from there, in Mexico. This Mayan city is found on the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and it was a great city thousands of years ago. The Mayan tribe Itza built a lot of temples and important buildings. They were very interested in the moon and stars and studying the movement of the heavenly lights they saw in the sky. So, this monument they built had something to do with the study of the stars and planets. Chichen Itza actually means the mouth at the well of Itza. Historians believe that Itza means water magicians, and that it is a word that came from the Mayan Itz for magic and for water. In Chichen Itza, we find a huge pyramid-shaped structure called El Castillo, the castle. This famous pyramid overlooks the site of Chichen Itza. You cannot really tell from far away, but it is actually sitting on another, much older temple. To reach the top of El Castillo are many, many steps. 365 steps, in fact. Do you know what is special about the number 365? I'll give you a clue. Something to do with our calendar. That's right. 365 is the exact number of days in our solar year. What do you think? Do you think that maybe the Mayan people were counting the days of the year when they built this giant pyramid? This large pyramid is 79 feet, 24 meters above the main plaza. Now, here is something really interesting. At certain times of the year, when the sun sets, it makes shadows on the pyramid. And from far away, these shadows look a bit like a snake slithering down the pyramid's north staircase. We are pretty sure it was designed to look that way. And here is something else very curious. At the bottom of the pyramid is a snake head made of stone. So, now you know the new 7 wonders of the world. Wasn't that fascinating? There are 7 other wonders of the world that are considered the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and most of them are not standing anymore. These are the Great Pyramid of Giza, Egypt; the Colossus of Rhodes, Greece; the Lighthouse of Alexandria, Egypt; the Statue of Zeus at Olympia, Greece; the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, Iraq; the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus, Turkey; and the Temple of Artemis, Turkey. Of all those structures, only the pyramids of Egypt still stand today. Maybe one day you can journey all the way to Cairo in Egypt to see them. You will get to ride on a high camel, just the way that people used to travel a long time ago, and the way many people in some countries still get around. Which one of the places that we talked about is your favorite? And which one would you like to visit someday? Make sure to write it down when you wake up in the morning, because even if you cannot go there yet, it is still fun to research and study about each of these wonderful places. The 7 wonders of the world are man-made places, and we call them wonders because if you see them, you might just wonder how they got there and how they were built. It will make you think about the very smart people who had to have a very intelligent way of doing things and building structures to come up with such amazing things. Do you also like to build things? Maybe with blocks or Lego? Or what about with clay? Maybe as you drift off to sleep tonight, you too can dream about the amazing and wonderful things your hands can build. And when you wake up in the morning, make sure to write it all down so that you don't forget. Make sure to also keep on telling stories about what you learned during your days. And like the Incas, you will be able to keep the memories alive whenever you tell the story to someone else who will tuck it away in their heart. Did you have a nice sleep adventure tonight? I am so glad you came along with me on this journey, and I look forward to telling you about more interesting places next time on Soothing Pod. Thanks for joining me. Come back next time